Esteemed colleagues, we continue our working day, and the topic of our next press conference, instead of the public discussion of the candidature of the Prosecutor General, the attempt to remove the candidate from the public. We have Mustafa Nayem, Volodymyr Bondarchuk, son of the killed hero of the Heavenly 100, Pavlo Sydorenko, coordinator initiative group, Yevheniya Zakrevska, Pavlo Dykan. Good afternoon, esteemed colleagues. In fact, we gathered together here in order to talk about the highest level of cynicism which could be displayed by the General Prosecutor's Office and their leaders. Yesterday we came to know that Serhiy Bondarchuk, who the lawyers of the Heavenly 100 supported as a possible candidate for the office of General Prosecutor. In fact, under the pressure, they actually offered him to switch his place of work to the prosecutor's office in Lviv. Also, we had the information today that he has a kind of one option. Either he has to change his place of work, or he'll be fired. So this is an attempt to remove this kind of candidate from the list of the candidatures to occupy this office of the General Prosecutor. This is not testimony. Nothing is going to be changed here. Also, we received the information from David Zakrevska, the information about the actions on the part of the General Prosecutor's Office employees, that those prosecutors and those investigators who were involved in the investigation of the brilliant diamond prosecutors in Ukraine, because that was the first case which had to prove that the prosecutor's offices are subject to changes, that they are being reformed internally. All those prosecutors and investigators were fired from the General Prosecutor's Office, so they proved completely that they belong to repression system. In any person who would like to change this approach or change the existing system will be ousted from this system, and actually they will be deprived of the possibility or opportunity to reform the existing system. Today, David Zakrevska, during our morning meeting with the ambassadors, declared that if it's going to proceed, this situation, the next step could be the General Prosecutor Office will fire him, and he is the only prosecutor in that office who is responsible for the Office of Reforms, which is also under the pressure today as a result of the artificial criminal case, allegedly let's say misappropriation of the funds which have been allocated for the development of the local prosecutor's office. So the conclusion is what actually happened over the last 4 months in this realm. We do not have a single person in the local prosecutor's office. We today have not a single attempt on the part of President to discuss or to consider a new candidate for the position of the General Prosecutor. And number 3, we have the problem in the Verkhovna Rada, in the Parliament of Ukraine, because for the 3rd week now that they had already agreed upon the dismissal of Shokin as the General Prosecutor, but this issue is not included in the agenda of the Verkhovna Rada to be considered by the MPs. And today we have such outrageous cases when they exert pressure, direct pressure exerted on those prosecutors who would like to work in a different way in this prosecutor office. So we are going to have the public actions of resistance to this system. We are going to demand to dismiss Shokin and to appoint, as a result of the transparent discussion consideration, new General Prosecutor will be capable to take care of reforms, implementing reforms in this sphere. I would like to call upon everybody to support it in this endeavor. Good afternoon. Volodymyr Bondarchuk. I'm the son of the of Serhiy Bondarchuk, who actually was killed a member of the Heavenly 100. You remember in this audience, some time ago, they declared the need to hold the public discussion or consideration of the candidates for to occupy the office of General Prosecutor, and one of them was Serhiy Gorbatyuk. What kind of reaction I witnessed yesterday on March 23rd? Serhiy Gorbatyuk was proposed the office of prosecutor in the Lviv region. We were indignated actually by this fact because this demonstrates the attitude on the part of the management of the General Prosecutor's Office to this person. They try to counteract any kind of reforms or the attempts to reform the General Prosecutor's Office and the control over the authorities, or let's say if you're talking about transparency of the procedures in selecting a new General Prosecutor, and we paid a high price for that. Lives of many persons, including my own father, a lot of the wounded persons, and those persons who sacrifice their lives today in the east of Ukraine, in the Ukrainian-Russian war. We cherished the hope. When 10 days ago we addressed our public at large, our government, our authorities, the General Prosecutor's Office. We expect to have some dialogue and some transparency in nominating new General Prosecutor General. But we have an absolutely opposite situation when the management of the General Prosecutor's Office just clearly demonstrated that this is not going to be the case, and they would like to remove the key person who is responsible for the investigation of murdering our near and dear and those who committed crimes during the times of Maidan. And Serhiy Gorbatyuk, over those 2 years, actually gave us a hope that the case associated related to the murdering of our relatives, this case will be considered, and the persons guilty of this crime will be punished. Not only the executors, but also those who actually ordered this crime to be committed. We are going to continue to support Serhiy Gorbatyuk and do everything possible so that the management of the General Prosecutor's Office cannot any longer do anything like that, cannot exert any pressure like that. We'll try to force the system to change. Unfortunately, we, based on the information we recently received, that the system of General Prosecutor's Office tries to squeeze out from their ranks those people who do not fit this system, in their opinion, who can counteract the existing system. And this is a very negative signal sent to our society, and I would like to pay attention to that. And the last thing, as soon as this information of the exerting pressure on Serhiy Gorbatyuk and their attempt to remove him from the candidatures list, as soon as this information appeared, we started to collect the signatures regarding the nomination of Serhiy Gorbatyuk to the office of General Prosecutor. But at the same time, some strange things started to happen with this website of this petition. The majority of those people or those families who voted for this, they called their voices back, or votes back, and the site actually finished to exist. I was absolutely indignated at what is happening in this country after those huge, huge casualties borne by our country and those persons who gave their lives for this country. And this happens, this is something indignant. I'm the chairman of the lawyers of the Advocate Council Group. I would like to talk about the latest things, let's say, which happened around the Serhiy Gorbatyuk and the General Prosecutor's Office over the last year. We believe this is a kind of white crow in the system of General Prosecutor's Office, where the investigators work with the idea when they try to achieve some result, and where the investigators work not for the benefits, for which the majority of the people coming to the prosecutors, unfortunately, came for those benefits to the General Prosecutor's Office. They work really for the idea. This specific directorate is being used in order from time to time to report what kind of achievements they have and what kind of attainments the General Prosecutor's Office managed to achieve in investigating different crimes. In the fall last year, there was first information that this department, the directorate, is going to exist till the spring of this year, and then they're going to dissolve it. As if all the criminals have been punished and brought to the criminal responsibility, etc., etc. We are blessed that we actually anticipate this situation and this director still exists. But today we can see that the achievements of this department, this directorate, which depend pretty much on the actions of its head, definitely they're in the way of the further existence of this General Prosecutor's Office, which has always been vertically orientated system where the orders have to be fulfilled. Though the investigators, according to our legislation, are absolutely independent persons, and they have to take the actions according to their own judgment. Unfortunately, this is not the case today. The only example we can give in this kind of is this Directorate of Independent Investigation. So what kind of experts they found, what kind of investigators they found. Maybe they are not the cream of the investigators the world over, but they really work the way the investigators should act. That's why this brought us and other associations of people and made us to put this candidature, the candidate for the General Prosecutor's Office, not to resolve this problem somewhere behind the curtains, as was always the case in this country, has always been the case in this country, but we really wanted the public discussion of all the aspects of the different candidates, all their merits and drawbacks, etc., etc., but we wanted the public at large to understand who the president would like to appoint to this office. Unfortunately, perhaps those specific actions, this my understanding, maybe other candidates would lose their positions as a result of public discussion, but all those actions, as a result of all those actions, Serhiy Gorbatyuk, they tried to remove Serhiy Gorbatyuk and send him somewhere far away from Kiev in order to take his candidature out of this list. And maybe the next step will be the removal of this Director General speaking, because they took a lot of care regarding the different cases associated with February 18 and 20 of the 2014, and this could become the grounds for all the activities of the gang of Yanukovych. Unfortunately, many people in today's political sphere, in all the king's men today, so to say, they're associated with all those schemes and crimes, all those persons. Criminals. We had a lot of examples when certain persons, the leadership of the General Prosecutor's Office did not allow to bring to the criminal responsibility. We are talking about Volodymyr, or let's say we are talking about the extension of the pre-trial investigation with Mr. Uchik, etc. So the activities of these independent directorate who do their job properly, they kind of the bone in the throat, They're not under the management of the General Prosecutor's Office. This is, in my opinion, is the major reason for the removal, first of all, of the head of this department, and then perhaps they will stop the activities or dissolve this department altogether, which we mentioned before. That's why the support of the activity of this Directorate General speaking, and Gorbachev personally, we believe we have to support this person because we can see the result of the work of this person, unlike we don't see anything, and the results of the work of the General Prosecutor's Office. So once again, I would call everybody to join and put their signatures under this petition. This doesn't mean that automatically Serhiy Gorbachev will be appointed General Prosecutor, Prosecutor General, but at least this person deserves at least that the public at large pay attention to his person. Thank you. Good afternoon. Roman Veselka. I represent the lawyers or the defenders of the automotive Maidan, and we are dealing with the investigation of the crimes against Maidan. I support completely what has been said by my colleagues. Once again, would like to emphasize the major things which this situation revealed. Number one, there was a fact when the key person in investigating the criminal crimes against Maidan demonstrated clearly that either you take other office or you're going to be removed whatsoever. We can consider that as the specific pressure exerted on this person, a continuation of practicing now hours and squeezing out those persons who are capable to resist or to offer resistance to the existing system. So our task, and we try to set the model how to act in order not to make it happen. Conclusion, number one, the authorities continues to squeeze out all those people who resist their activities. Number two, once again, they demonstrated that the Maidan cause is no priority to them, because even to propose or just to attempt to do something about the key person investigating Maidan associated crimes, to offer them this person some other position or office, despite the fact that this person is better required here. Moreover, this is not his desire, it's our demand and proposal, and we actually was our demand that the person who are capable to do something about that has to become the Prosecutor General. This is a huge responsibility, and Serhiy understands that, and we can see that, and the authorities understand that. That's why they try to remove him, and they demonstrate their attitude to the cause of Maidan and the priority of investigating the cases associated with Maidan. Another message conveyed by the authorities that they are not going to fulfill the demand of the society about the public discussion of the candidates. They are used to have kind of package agreements or the behind the curtain agreements, etc., etc. But whatever fits into the sharing the authorities or the power, but not in the concept of implementation or realization of those promises, they do not keep their promises, which they give to the society. And also, we believe, well, it's possible that anyway, there is no decision, final decision taken about the dismissal of the General Prosecutor, Prosecutor General existing, who we believe to be guilty of all this kind of collapse of different investigations, and that nobody of the criminals has been punished yet. And this was became possible because of also through the authorities, the powers that be, and Mr. Shokin is guilty of many things which he committed, but anyway he stays in his remains in his office, and there is an attempt to leave him in this capacity or to extend his office. Once again, we demand immediate dismissal of the Prosecutor General Shokin. We are against the appointment of the acting prosecutor office by anyone. we would like to have any person who would have the authorities, necessary authorities, and who will continue to defend our interests. First of all, what we are going to do, we are going to use all the available tools and instruments available to the civil society. First of all, we are already clear about that. We are going to continue collect the signatures under the petition, which is a legal instrument which will be binding for the president to take care of if we collect all necessary number of signatures. We also, this is another tool to discuss this or another candidate. If people provide the support, they will show that they are prepared and they support this, and it will be public and open action. This is one of the means we can use. So despite all the barriers, all the hindrances in our way, we hope that we collect all necessary number of the votes or the signatures. Number two, we can start with other organizations. We are going to mobilize to provide the synergy. We are going to mobilize the civil society. First of all, to respond or to react to all the facts of dismissals, of fire and of exerting pressure, of trying to neutralize those persons who have the trust and confidence among the civil society. We are going to launch an action tomorrow, for example, against the actions in order to dismiss all those persons who work together with David Zakrevska. And next week we are going to have some other actions with the support of many organizations to dismiss the existing, to the incumbent Prosecutor General. So we once again call upon you not to stop your fight, your struggle. Only through this we can become victorious. Thank you. Are there any questions or clarifications? If none, this brings us to the end of this press conference. The only thing I would like to add, what you mentioned about David Zakrevska at 3:30 today, we are going to have his press briefing regarding the dismissal of those investigators who participated in investigation of the diamond prosecutors. Thank you and see you again.